Hi, welcome to another interesting and insightful episode on Tech with Hero. I am your host, Hero Inkechi, and as usual, we bring insightful and educative section to you. On today's episode, it's going to be Inside Out Dev versus QA Series 1, and we have a developer and a QA here on the section. Let's meet our developer.
Hi, Hero. My name is Christopher. I'm software developer, build mostly mobile apps. It's nice to be there.
Thank you. And our QA.
Hi, Hero. My name is Benjamin, QA engineer. Nice to be here.
Okay. So I'm sure a lot of persons would be wondering why developer and QA on the set because we want to dive into relationship between the QA and the developer. So we're starting with this question. What's one common misconception developers have about QA?
One common misconception that developers have about QA is the fact that most developers think that QA engineers are not uh, technical enough. They don't have a lot of technical experience.
Okay. And what's one common misconception QAs have about developers?
Well, I would go with them being asked to just, not do their work well.
Okay, that developers don't do their work well.
Just want to do their work. Or at least they just try not to cover all possible cases.
Okay. So have you ever experienced a dev versus QA blame game?
Um, there versus QA. Not directly. And they're about to use. Right.
Have you experienced where?
Yes, a lot actually.
I didn't hear he has to experience.
So how did you resolve? How did you resolve?
Okay, so the most important thing is to speak with clarity. Most important thing I've come to understand when resolving issues with developers is to speak with clarity. And because as a QA engineer, if you're trying to explain a bug or explain something to the developer, you need to be clear in what you are escalating to the developer because you can't just come. You need to pull your thoughts together, right? And if possible, there needs to be actual references to capture that captures what you're trying to explain. Because a lot of times, developers will come with the notion of it's working for me or it's working in my system or it's working in my local, and you are like, guy, is not working in the dev environment. I've obviously we're not going to give your laptop to the customer, right? So you have to speak clearly, right, and provide accurate references that clearly depicts what you're trying to escalate.
Okay. Do you have opinion on that?
Yeah. Now, is it like you started with? All right. Can just keep my mind right on. The thing with you say.
It works on your video local.
Now, you say that particular line, all right? I like as you repeated it. It's something that would actually come in eventually, right? Obviously, you can't give my machine to the user, right? But at a certain point in time, maybe probably at that point in time, it actually was there. But we had to then come with a product perspective, right? It works on my machine, is fact. It doesn't work on the user's machine, it's also fact, right?
Yeah.
But we don't have to try and find a common denominator. What's if making it not work on the user's machine, and why they're working on my machine and not on the user's machine? So something like that.
So I think I already know who's more likely to say it works on my machine then. Let's not just go there.
I want to just buttress on that, right? In as much as we are likely to say yes, it's our machine and that, but yes, it is still something we can see and we have to see sometimes. Okay, right? Because we need to go past that. We need to see it to be able to go past.
Past that, okay.
So do you think QA should be involved in the planning phase of a project?
Yes, Completely. QA has to be part of the whole. If I from conception of, and by conception I mean from design conversations or even product as far back as product requirement conversations, the QA engineer has to get involved because again, while the developers are looking at it from the functionality aspect and the product guys are looking at it from the business scaling aspect, the QA engineer is the one looking at it from the risk aspect. He's factoring risk, he's factoring performance, he's factoring a lot of all these other stuffs, right? So from the onset of you know having conversations on what to on the project itself, the QA engineer has to get involved so that it also impacts the way the team would go forward looking at the project, right? The QA engineer is got to bring in some necessary questions at the planning phase of that project before actual codes are even being written.
I agree with him. Right, I agree with him that the QAs have to be involved in the planning. But this is more for me, right? It's more towards being able to assure that quality because you need to know what the goal is. You need to know that okay, this is what we are looking for and so we're trying to work towards. Right. So that all would be determined during the planning phase.
Okay.
Right. So they have to be involved.
Bolt. Okay. Thank you.
What the best way to give feedback across dev and QA without starting a war? Because QA comes with there is an emergency, fire is burning, there's fire on the mountain, and there's that beginning lines that just gives at attack to developers. So what's the best way? What do you feel from your end? What's the best way you feel QA should talk to you that would enable you not have that would enable you to want to fix without having that first at attack?
Honestly, the QA, we should be careful. Don't take it the wrong way. If you I'm gonna say it's gonna make it sound and a man putting it in a direct attack. The QA should be very careful of how it is said or how it is reported. Right. Because human beings are going to be human. They're gonna always pick out what they want to pick out from what you say. Yeah, alright. So we need to say, hi, developer. You true individual, this thing you did as a bug, or if not this thing, that's automatically once you put the developer on the defensive, right? But someone of you know how to handle this role would pick out the wrong part, right? Or another instance, the QA restructures that there's this particular thing not happening as it should. Here's what it is. Here's this, here's that. It's how to replicate it and everything. Right. That takes the whole idea away from okay, probably who did this, because it could actually be that the person that you're reporting it to is not the person that do what on it. Say it's a production bug, right? Someone else is assigned to it, right? So this particular thing is not working this particular way, right? That puts the focus on what is not working and what it should be, and how it should be working like, right? So coming with that sort of structure, also adding why it is not working, a video of the flow or you describing what led to that. As an added, there could also be, if it's possible to get that, the details of, where it happened, the user's accounts, or if it's a development in user's accounts, if it's a prod thing, a duplicate for a sort of like a representation of the user's account, so that can be able to go through that and actually figure it out.
Please. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with him. The QA engineer should definitely be careful in the way they escalate issues, because if you raise alarms all the time, you stand the risk of being called an alarmist, right? So, like I said earlier, he needs to speak with clarity. He needs to clearly explain and with patience as well clearly explain what the issue is to the developer. And I would say for the devs, right, they need to be a bit more open-minded. There was something he said where he mentioned that sometimes, depending on where the QA records the issue, the devs can be on the defensive. I get that, but sometimes with devs, they are always on the defensive. When you come to escalate an issue to them, the first thing is working, right? And which brings the conversation of, oh, you're not technical enough to tell me, that there's an issue with this, right? So I feel like the devs should understand that they are not robots, right? They cannot get everything 100% right. Okay, so definitely when a QA engineer is coming to you, even if you feel that he's a junior, he's an intern, or whatever it is, be open minded and receptive enough to hear him out first before you get on the defensive.
Okay, thank you. How do you collaborate during last minute release crunches without using Wallahi?
Hmm. That's interesting. That's so in all honesty, right? That's a difficult line. That's more like a difficult phrase, but I think it helps to build personal relationships with your devs, with your team. Um, this would make the conversation, this will make the whole process a bit more smoother because it will be like having a conversation amongst friends, right? So for last minute releases where maybe everybody needs to be on board, or maybe there's an issue that requires maybe there's a release bug that requires an immediate fix before we are pushing out, right? It helps to have a personal relationship to them. That way you can easily reach out to them even when it's not official work hours, right? You can easily reach out to them and say, oh, guy, we have this issue. We need to go live like ASAP. But please, I know it's not working time, but can we get on this? Right? A good rapport with the dev will make that conversation smoother than actually reaching out to somebody that you have new relationship with.
Okay.
Hello?
But that's the things with so much rapport when it gets like a constant reaching out, then after work hours.
Yeah, I mean, the good rapport is very necessary, and understanding the limitations of the rapport is also very necessary. Right. Um, I mean, it's a product. The product is always active, most likely 24/7.
Yeah.
Right. Issues can come up at any time. Yeah. All right. Now, as opposed to that, there's a normal working hours. Right. But some point in time, right, there's some things that actually have to come in. Something that has to be just sacrificed to something, right? Now, that good rapport is actually going on. If you see someone has song that disturbs you every time and he enters your DM, you go like, no, I want to avoid this guy right now.
I'm being sleep.
Exactly. Yeah, but you have that kind of good rapport with, your developer, between your developer and your QA, right? It could, in echo, very good, right? You're able to, come into your day and you understand that if it's during work hours, there you have to respond. It's outside work hours, you would have understood that, okay, you would have understood probably the priority, the urgency, before choosing to take this step,
Okay.
right? I think coming in, you have a good rapport, you would actually receive him with a good, response, right? So yeah, I agree with that, right?
Okay, so we have our last question. Describe the DQ relationship using a movie title.
I'm gonna
You
use
can add a song.
I'm gonna use Batman Superman Dawn of Justice. And I'm gonna explain why. Right. At the beginning they both had the idea, but then they had at the end they had a common goal they were trying to exactly. Right. So it kind of describes the good and the bad. If you and your QA are on bad terms, they're gonna be at the beginning, they're gonna be against each other. Right. People are going to be trying to beat each other or pulling or just have that kind of, bad relationship. But when it's good, when the whole, the rapport is good, the product is even better, right? People will be like in the second part of, at the second phase of the movie where you're working together, you understand each other, you're trying to get towards a common goal. So that's that.
Okay, I was expecting the Wamo. Okay, so describe the dev QA relationship using the movie title.
Okay, so the dev Q relationship for me would be best described with this movie Bad Boys. So I feel like if you find a QA engineer who has a good rapport with the developer, right? The relationship is it's the relationship is vibes all around. So to an extent, right? As a QA engineer, it's easier. I find it more fun testing the implementations of devs that I have a good rapport with because the connection is there. I mean, when you pick up their project, it's easy for me to run with it and say, "Oh, guy, what's up? You made a mistake here, right?" Because the rapport is there. So you find that you're actually putting in a lot more effort in working with devs who are not controversial, who are not what's the word now? Devs who have a better rapport with you, right? It's easier to work with them, basically. So yeah, we're like bad boys.
Yeah, so I think this is the end of our section. Inside Out Day versus QA Series 1. I'm very, very certain you enjoyed this series and check out or watch out rather for Series 2. Thank you. Do well to go to all our social media platform on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Subscribe to our channel, Tech with Hero. And please share with your friends and enemies that are in the tech space. Your enemies could be QA, since you're a developer. To share with them, for them to subscribe to our channel, and also drop your own opinion on the comment section. Thank you. My name is Iro Inkechi Omolola, your tech host. Bye.